Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box. Now, we always hear questions about who's the most influential such and such and who is who. But when it comes to rock bands and hard rock bands, I would argue that the Vanilla Fudge are one of the most influential of all time. Their 1967 debut album is one of the finest albums of all time because they reinvented the way that rock and roll music was supposed to sound. They were heavier than anything at the time and most things since. They were more virtuosic than just about anything at the time or since. And they were cooler and more real than just about anything that happened before or since. Now, uniquely for the time, most of the songs on this album were covers, and this was an age where rock bands were writing their own music. But a Vanilla Fudge cover isn't just any cover, because much like what Manfred Mann's Earth Band would do with covers in the 70s, Vanilla Fudge turned the songs on their head. They rearranged and reinvented them into something totally other than else. And the track that really sort of was the linchpin of this album was, of course, You Keep Me Hanging On, that was originally popularized as an up-tempo hit by Diana Ross and the Supremes. The Vanilla Fudge slowed it down and make it a heavy Hammond organ-driven rocker. Absolutely incredible. Now, what a band of virtuosos they are. On the Hammond organ and lead vocals, you had Mark Stein, an absolute animal. On vocals and guitar, you had Vince Martell, wonderful musician. On bass and vocals, Tim Bogert, wonderful. And of course, on the drums, one of the most charismatic and talented men of the Skins, you had Carmine Appice. And the band stuck with this format of doing really interesting covers of well-known songs. Their second album, The Beat Goes On, was of course centered on a remake of the famous Sonny and Cher song of the same name, complete with lots of other interesting covers. This one was probably the height of their psychedelia. Then you had Renaissance in 1968, where you had some original songs on this. Side one was actually all original and really good music. They could, when they wanted to, write amazingly well. And then you had some covers on side two, Season of the Witch being particularly good. I would say that in my view, my second favorite Vanilla Fudge album is 1969's Near the Beginning, because this features a really hard and fast version of Shotgun, the wonderful song by the already perfect Junior Walker and the All Stars. This is an example of, frankly, a cover and an original that are so good, I have to say that they are equally good. And there's a wonderful video out there of them performing it on the Ed Sullivan Show. They also did a great version of Lee Hazelwood's Some Velvet Morning. Really a great album. And then in 1969, they had an album that they made before taking a break. And this is just called Rock and Roll, featuring a song that is so overplayed. I'm kind of tired of it, The Windmills of Your Mind, but I'm referring to the original. When Vanilla Fudge did it, it was really good. Now, they took a break of over 10 years, but they came back in 1984 for an album called Mystery. Check out the song Golden Age Dreams on that album, Mystery, because it really is the Vanilla Fudge for the 1980s. Richie Blackmore and John Lord of Deep Purple admitted they wanted to be the Vanilla Fudge. I would also say there would be no Uriah Heep. Heavy organ driven sound, lots of vocal harmonies. There would be no Uriah Heep as we know them without the Vanilla Fudge. The Vanilla Fudge came before Zeppelin, before Sabbath, before so many of these bands that went on to become staples of heavy rock music. They did it first. They did it with groove. They did it with soul. They did it with that New York City flair. They were one of the best and most influential bands of all time. Check them out if you're not familiar with them. I guarantee you no one watching this channel will be disappointed when they do. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.